I want to talk about a trick that politicians use that a lot of people aren't privy to. So there is a special election in Minnesota right now, which is Senate District 11. That's Pine City all the way up to about Cloquet, Minnesota. And the Republicans have selected Jason Rarick to be the candidate for the special election. This will take place, I think it's February 5th. Rarick is actually a sitting state rep right now, which represents the bottom half of that district. And that district's been Democratic for many years. The Laurie family has been in that seat for quite some time. In fact, the Democrats selected last night Stu Laurie, so the son of the state senator who left that seat, to be their candidate for the general election on February 5th. So, a couple things you probably don't know. First of all, there was a meeting by our sister group, Minnesota Gun Rights, with Senate Majority Paul Gazelka last week, where he asked what they were looking to accomplish or what they needed from Republicans. And of course, Ben Dorr said, well, we want stand your ground laws. This is an important issue to gun owners in Minnesota. And if you don't know, Minnesota Gun Rights represents a lot of gun owners. I mean, their Facebook page alone has 130,000 views. I saw them do a Facebook video the other day that had 300 plus live people tuned in as he's talking about a meeting with Paul Gazelka. So they have a meeting with Paul Gazelka, the Senate Majority Leader of the Republicans, and they take the notes about what gun owners and what Minnesota Gun Rights is asking to have accomplished. And it looks like what he was trying to do is to find out how Minnesota Gun Rights, how to basically buy off Minnesota Gun Rights. So they leave Jason Rarick alone, and they got beef with Jason Rarick because as a conservative Republican, or at least that's how he campaigned, which he's not. He's 29% on our scorecard, so he's obviously not that conservative. But he had said he was going to, I think it was either constitutional carry or stand your ground. He was gonna promote that issue, and he didn't, and he let it die. And that's what Minnesota Gun Rights can't stand, is how much resistance they're getting from Republicans in the legislature. So they got beef with Rarick, and so Gazelka thinks, well, I could probably buy these guys off by promoting stand your ground law. And a lot of people don't know this, but Gazelka has shown his cards already from the get-go in this race. There was a gentleman who challenged Rarick for the endorsement a couple weeks ago, and the day after he announced, Gazelka gives him a call and says, no, I'm sorry, the day of his announcement, Gazelka gives him a call and tells him to drop out of the race. That's probably something people don't know, is that the Kurt Doutts and the Gazelkas of the world try to bully and threaten people. In this case, probably not threaten them, but just maybe bully them out of actually running for office. And of course, Justin, the guy that was running, would have been more conservative. So that's funny how that works. That's something most people don't know. So there you go. That's what Gazelka's doing. He's calling up candidates, telling them to get out of the race because they've got their chosen one. So anyhow, what they do with that meeting, that information, that meeting, is they decide, oh, okay, this is how we get Minnesota Gun Rights to leave them alone. We're going to have Rarick introduce stand your ground legislation. And so that, of course, happened. I think it was Monday, maybe it was into last week. And Rarick comes out with introduction of stand your ground and does a video of it. It's almost as if Gazelka thinks that Minnesota Gun Rights have never been in fights before at the Capitol and are too dumb to understand what's going on here. Of course, they're not. They're very smart, and they didn't fall for this crap. But you and I probably did, right? Because how could we possibly dislike Jason Rarick? He just introduced stand your ground legislation. But see, it's a pointless gesture, because when the Republicans were in the majority, he killed stand your ground. He did not promote it because Kurt Doudt and leaders in the Republican caucus told him, don't push forward stand your ground. We're not going to go anywhere with this bill because we're too worried about losing the metro districts. And of course, fast forward to last November, and they lost all those regardless. So now Rarick introduces a bill, and introducing a bill doesn't do anything. It saves face with gun owners in his district, but it's gonna do absolutely zero, because first of all, if he gets elected, he is this bill's not gonna have any motion or any movement by the time he's elected. And if he's elected, he's also in the Senate, so he's no longer authoring that bill. Now he could do the bill in the Senate. He could author that bill, but who's going to carry it in the House? It's a pointless gesture meant to buy people off as thinking this guy's some big pro-gun guy. And I'm not saying he's anti-gun. He's just not doing anything on the issue, hence why Minnesota Gun Rights is upset with them. Because essentially, if you're not promoting or pushing forward on the offense on guns, you're not helping the overall cause. Because quite frankly, it's very threatening what the Democrats are trying to do with our gun rights. So you got to be on the offense. And so this is something most people don't know. They see this video, they see that he dropped this bill, they think, oh, all is good, but they don't have the backstory. The backstory is it's a pointless gesture used to buy off voters in that district, and I hope people are wise. Now, I'm not saying it's good to have Stu Laurie as the senator. I'm not saying that, okay? Because generally speaking, it's probably going to be better to have him than the Democrat. But with that being said, these guys know what they're doing. They do this stuff all the time. And most people don't call them out on it. We're going to change that up. We're going to start calling these guys out on it. So, I guess it's up to you. Do you want to reward this terrible behavior?